We are thrilled, as always, to have Tim Ballard with us. He is the founder of Operation Underground Railroad and the CEO now of the Nazarene Fund. And he has one heck of a rescue story to tell you today. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Hey, great to be here.
Yeah, good to have you.
Thanks.
When did you first tell me about this? Trump was in office.
Oh yeah, it was several months ago.
Yeah.
It was an amazing rescue operation and one we haven't been able to tell until right now because of
all the things that are in process.
So many things in process. Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing actors involved. Like I mean, from Tony Robbins to the White House to I mean, it was nuts.
Let me ask you this while I'm here at the White House. That's a huge loss to the slave trade movement to lose Donald Trump. He was exceptional on this issue. Millions of dollars downrange on the survivor care, on the rescue operations. Just talking about it, Ivanka was actually even a louder voice, and lots of plans in place. And they all stopped. They all stopped. Yeah. That is tragic, especially with what we have going on the border now. Yes. I mean, people don't have any idea what's going on the border and the human trafficking. It's and we're incentivizing it. Our policies are incentivizing it. Yeah. You know, because it's this horrible policy that says if you come across with a child in your hand, you basically within 72 hours you're released into the United States to a notice to appear, or we call notice to disappear, because they never show up. Right. And now they're in the country, and they just got to recycle these kids, and they're using them to as pawns, basically pairing them with clients of the smugglers. But eventually, these kids and these women, they're being trafficked, they're being sold on the path to the United States, and we're just saying, keep coming in, and we're just so bad. We're creating. I mean, it's so bad, so bad. Okay, so tell me this story, and you have to lay the parameters out because there's things we can't talk about. Yeah, including the countries of destination and origin. Right. Which is unfortunate because the country of origin kind of adds an extra layer of trouble. Yeah. But go ahead, tell the story. It's a Latin American country, and this is happening. We have actually expanded our mission statement to include not only children, but also women. Women are 4 times more likely to be trafficked. And with all these COVID shutdowns and lockdowns, I mean, we're having women who are being trafficked from Thailand into Africa, from Latin American countries into the Caribbean. So this is kind of representative of a lot of places and a lot of things we're doing. But this story, 10 women. Professionals. Yeah, I mean, one was a law enforcement officer, believe it or not. Wow. Yeah, but the more important fact, 15 children amongst all of them. They're trying to take care of their kids. Their country is in collapse. And this woman shows up one day. This was probably about a year to a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And says, I can give you a job in a very high-end resort town, island in the Caribbean. And it was a professional job. These were all very professional women, and it was a professional job. This person came into the country where nobody had a job, right? And said, look, I know you have to feed your family, and we have a professional job. And this woman looked professional, and she had the pictures, and it's a resort town that everyone's familiar with. Come on down, and it's a few-hour flight from your home. And so these women gave their children to grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, in some cases husbands, and took off for a 3-month journey to go make some money to save their families. And they get there, and they came at different times. They didn't all come together, but they land, and their passports are taken to process. Some are given drinks, but they all have one thing in common. They wake up in another country where they don't speak the language, one of the most horrific, corrupt countries in the world. Bad. And wake up literally naked and raped immediately and told, this is your new life. You will work here and you will be a sex slave in essence. They have these women, Glenn, because our guys were on the ground there, and literally in a jail cell behind the brothel, literally bars that lock from the outside. And our team got the lead. We're actually looking for kids in this area, and we got this lead that there's a bunch of these women who don't speak the language. They don't want to be there. Our guys went in pretending to be clients. And the first time they went in, now, by the way, these women are praying women. they were just praying every night, God, send us anyone, someone, because there's no way out. What can they do? No passport, don't speak the language, no way to communicate with anybody. And they're stuck. Our guys go in and start talking about doing a party at this brothel nightclub kind of place with the owners, and they're buying it like, great, you know. One of the women looks up and sees our guys who look like sex tourists. You know, our guys are awesome, undercover operators, but they sensed something. It was a spiritual connection, truly. We talked to them later, and they said, we sensed something about your guys. They're different. There's something different about them. So they wrote a little note. They got together, and one of the women wrote in her left hand so that it couldn't be traced back, just in case their spiritual hunch was wrong.
Right.
Wrote in their left hand, ayúdanos, por favor, help us, please. And walked over to one of the operators, who's actually here at the studio today, and gave it to him. And he opened it, looked at it. He called me immediately and said, you won't believe this. Like, we've been made, but I think by the right people, they know who we are. And later they just said, there was just something about you guys. And again, it was the spiritual
thing.
Yeah. So we were able to get in. Now, this country, as you know, Glenn, because we've talked a lot about it. In fact, you've been there with us.
Very corrupt.
Yes, it's very corrupt.
Very corrupt.
And we know this. And that's why people say, don't work in this country.
Right.
Because
what are you gonna do?
The cops will turn on you. Right.
Leave them?
That's it. We had no choice.
Right.
So we literally go into this place. The cops are like ready to go. Warrant signed. It looks legitimate. They get into the place to get the girls out. And the cops start taking money from the traffickers right in front of our guys. And we get the girls out immediately. We have this plan ready to go in case this happened. Our guys are literally at this point being chased by cops and traffickers, running with these 10 girls from safe house to safe house. We had it all planned out and layered. So we had another law enforcement agency who we didn't tell about the operation in the same country, knowing that we have them probably for about 10 to 12 hours before they figure out how to leverage the whole situation in their benefit. But we got them, they were clean for the time we needed them to be clean, and they helped us get the passports. But we're running around. The whole thing was filmed, and it's being produced into a documentary. It's going to come out hopefully by next year.
That is crazy. We have some footage. I don't know if we've been playing it here. This is the after the rescue footage, where you guys, I think this is when you guys are, trying to.
Yeah, you just saw Tony Robbins' jet there. So the story gets crazy. We get help from the UN in a neighboring country that gives them temporary visas to get over, and they're literally hiding for 7 weeks in another country. But it's close enough to the trafficker country to where they can't come out. So they're in hiding for 7 weeks. And what do? We can't take them through a commercial airline or airport because we think there's traffickers everywhere looking for these girls. There's a ton of money they're losing. And they're not arrested because they just paid the cops off. Right. So this is extremely dangerous. We generally don't work this way. We generally, when you get a lead, what do? You're not going to get them out.
Yeah.
So I called Tony Robbins and I said, Tony, I got to get these girls out of this country, and I can't take them through a public airport. He says, no problem. I didn't even bat an eye. I'm sending my 737 down right now to pick them up, just like that. And then we had the problem of, well, where are they going to go? They can't go back to their home country. You know where that place is. They can't go back there.
No.
The traffickers got them from there. They know where their houses are, their homes are. Luckily, we had super tight connections with the White House at the time. Again, just like Tony, one phone call to the White House. We need visas. This never happens. They're not going to give us visas. There's no nexus direct to the United States.
Right.
There's no instantly, no problem. You'll have them as soon as we can print them out. Got visas for them and got them back to the United States. And the White House didn't publicize this, by the way, at all. It was right in the middle of an election year, and based on the country it was, and I mean, it would have been a great political.
Would have been a massive story, and massive story that could have played on so many different angles.
Yep.
And it's one of the reasons, again, why my thoughts of Donald Trump and his family have just changed so deeply. He did not exploit it. Quite honestly, he should have, but he didn't.
we didn't even ask them not to. We were just hoping they wouldn't, because we don't want this, we would have had to have a discussion about, no, you can't do it.
Right.
Didn't even ask, but said we do request that they come and get an official welcome at the White House.
Unbelievable.
So Tony's plane takes them to DC. They get taken to the White House, and they're told, welcome to the United States, and not a peep, not a camera in the place.
Unbelievable.
No one knew.
Unbelievable.
And the other stop, Tony requested, please come to my house. I want their first day of freedom to be at my house, which is this beautiful mansion on the ocean.
Yeah.
And that was literally their first steps on American soil, because they went from the tarmac to a bus. Their first step was Tony's house. And oh my, it just tears everywhere. Tony and Sage just showering them with prayers and gifts.
Those people are amazing.
Unbelievable people.
Yeah, really, truly amazing.
Yes.
Really, you can think what you want about Tony Robbins, but until you've met him, it's easy to think that's just he's just doing this. He is one of the most, and his wife is amazing.
Yeah.
Really genuine. Really
unbelievably genuine. Even better than you see them on stage. I mean, the camera's on and off, the same people, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly the same. All right. So when we come back, I want to find out what happened to the families, how the reuniting is happening, and what is going on, any other details. Can you imagine being a normal mom? Then the next, how long did it take? A week, a day?
A couple days.
Couple days. You're a sex slave. You're behind bars. You're raped how many times a day?
5 to 10 at least.
5 to 10 times a day. You have absolutely no hope of getting out. No hope. And then a day later, you're at Tony Robbins' house, and then you're flown to the White House and you meet the President of the United States. It's got to be, mentally, that has to be just gymnastics that could screw you up for a long, 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 long time.
Yeah, it was. I was with them during that transport, and we were very clear with the aftercare partners, like, look, this is not normal. This is not any of our lives, but God is blessing you right now, and they recognize that. Very mature women who understood. I remember one just saying, I haven't seen my child in 4 years. They all went in different times. So it'd been, for some 6 months, for some a year, some up to 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Without seeing their babies.
Oh my gosh.
He was 4, now he's 8. And I just want to tell them I'm okay. They don't even know where their kids don't even know where mom went. She went to get a job and disappeared.
So what have they all been reunited, or because it's this dicey situation?
Yeah. So they're all unbelievable partners on the ground. There's a university that I'm not supposed to name, but that took them in and put them gave them scholarships. So they've been students. In fact, several of them just graduated.
United States?
In the U.S. They're all in the U.S. In different places in the U.S. They are studying. They are in regular contact with their families. But the way our stupid immigration policy is, if they go home to see their babies, they lose the opportunity to maintain their visas and get the asylum visa and everything else. So it's just Zoom calls, but we're supporting their families. OUR is supporting their aftercare and their families. And we're working on visas right now to bring them all home. We're actually going to bring the kids up to the United States to live here. And
you imagine? You imagine? You 4 years without seeing your child.
Yeah. And this is happening everywhere. This story is not unique. We've repatriated over 300 women from the Middle East back into Africa, where same things happen. They're being lured into Lebanon, into Oman, and in Kuwait. And they're told, you're going to have a scholarship and be a student. And they're forced into domestic servitude and sex slavery. It's happening everywhere. It's just, and we're not talking about it,
So tell me what are we doing with OUR and the Nazarene Fund? What are we doing on the border? That would be OUR, right?
Yeah. So we have partners. If you remember, we talked the last time there was a surge, and we have partners on the ground who are doing amazing
work. We went to
work.
Mexico City together, I think, around that time, right?
Correct, yeah.
And some really good, strong Mexican politicians.
And we're working with them because they recognize the problem as well.
Yeah.
But the problem is our policies, they won't change it. Trump tried to change them. He did everything he could to change the policies, which basically the solution's pretty simple. You just say, no more using kids as pawns. You can't bring a child across and think you're going to get in.
No, I just saw, what's her name? Kamala just said that it's tornadoes and floods and corruption that is the cause of.
I've heard that. I've heard that theory as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the problem is when we tell them, come on up, bring a kid and you get free passage. These kids are getting kidnapped through Central America and being trafficked, used as pawns. What we have to do is just say, you can apply. I'm very pro-immigration. I have 2 children who are immigrants.
Right.
Very pro-immigration. But
apply at home.
Apply at home. And we have to make it easy to apply at home. Now you've taken the incentive away from the traffickers and the smugglers to use children, to kidnap children, and you're saving lives.
And the people don't understand the cartels are either about to or are making more money through this now on our border than they are on drugs.
100%.
Yeah. That is insane.
They love our U.S. policy. They love our policies. Our policies are making them rich. And I mean, they get thousands of dollars per client. And by the way, if you can't pay, they say, come on the bus anyway. We'll take care of you. Then they sell you on the way. We were down on the border interviewing these women. Like, I was raped every day. I just prayed to God they didn't take my 12-year-old and rape her too. That's how I paid my passage. They didn't tell me that's how I was going to make up the difference. But that's what they did, is they traffic you along the way. I mean, it's,
oh my God.
And it was the majority of the women we interviewed said that was their story. And they said, and they gave me this kid when I got here and said, pretend it's your son. And then they call the number, they pick the kid up, and I'm in the country. I mean, just one after the next as we interviewed them coming across the border.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The NazareneFund.org. We do work overseas for religious persecuted slaves. And OUR.org does slave trafficking everywhere in the world. This is a huge deal. We could use your support. Please make a generous donation at OUR.org.
OURrescue.org. Or the NazareneFund.org, either one.
Thank you very much. We are joined today by Tim Ballard. He is the CEO of the Nazarene Fund and also the founder of Operation Underground Railroad. Both of those organizations could use your support. OurRescue.org and the NazareneFund.org. Tim joins us for just a few more minutes. I wanted to talk to you some more about the border and how bad it is. When we went into the break, we were talking about how much money the cartels are making every single day on our new border policy.
Yep, about $14 million a day is what these cartels are making. They're leaving drugs and going into this. It's so lucrative, and we're creating it.
How many cartels? I mean, tell me about the cartels that you know of down there. I mean, who, you say cartels and you might think of an old movie or whatever. What are these people actually like and that are down at the border helping? Oh,
they're thugs. They're raping women. They're selling them on their journey from Nicaragua to Texas, right? They were in the drug business. They're criminals. They're thugs. They're murderers, and they're businessmen.
Are they? Yeah. Are they still? If you don't pay, don't worry. We will contact you. You make sure you tell us where you end up in the United States. And so I heard this about, it's probably under Obama, that the cartels were helping smuggle people in. And if you couldn't pay the full amount, you had to work for them. And you're just going to have to do us a favor.
That's right. Yeah. So those sometimes, if they can't get it out of them through selling their bodies on the path to the United States, they'll get them in and then they'll hold them. We worked several cases like this. They'll hold them, they'll use them, and they'll extort as well. Like call the family, hey, your wife and children are in our custody and they're tied up and they're not getting out unless you figure out a way to pay us. So that's happening on this side of the border, on the U.S. side.
I read a quote from Abraham Lincoln on the air today about what he said in 1860, and he said, look, this is really clear. I'm wildly paraphrasing, but it's crystal clear what's going on here. You had a lot of good people in the South that would never turn against their country. But it has been 3 decades of real evil, twisting and turning everything, and turning those good people into people who are now standing, thinking they're right, standing for things that are absolutely immoral and wrong, and they're turning against their own country. And I read that and I thought that's what's happening here. We have had these Marxist revolutionaries and these people in our, I just saw a story from 1986 or 1989 in the New York Times where it said our universities are almost now completely Marxist. And it was showing the problem back then. But they had just gotten in and they had kind of laid, you know, kind of in wait until they had the whole thing. And they were just starting in the 1980s. And now we have this. And everything has been twisted upside down. And I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I can't fathom any logical person who's in the Biden administration, and don't answer this if you don't want to get involved in that, but I can't imagine any reason that you could actually look at what the results were under Trump and then making the change and seeing this chaos and then coming out on the other side and going, yep, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, besides evil, what did I tell you when you first told me about OUR? And you said, I need your help. And I said, yes. Do you remember what I said in the elevator?
Yes. Because you had your attorney saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. This is crazy. And you said, amongst other things, that there was, well, one thing I remember is you said you won't meet, you will not meet your maker and tell him I did nothing.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing the Lord would have us do.
Yes. And there is nothing, because I came back to you and said, my attorney keeps telling me that we could just be torn apart for this because you don't know, something could happen, whatever, and now you're involved. You've got cartels, you got, you know, all these bad people coming up against you. There's no way to win on that. And I said, if this is true and honest, there is nothing that you can do that will get more divine providence and more protection than saving children. And then I came to you and said, you got to make sure this is absolutely pure, because if it's not, there is nothing we will suffer through eternity on more than using children, you know, being untrue with rescuing children. And so you and I have had this, and both organizations are really crystal clear. Everybody is really crystal clear. Do something corrupt. Yeah, whatever. Oh, I'm going to go to prison for the rest of my life. No, you're going to answer eternally, forever, if you do something against children. What is happening on our border and is happening right now, and we are using it for politics, the eternal consequences are enormous. Enormous. One last question, because you were in law enforcement, you were in Department of Homeland Security. How are we going to retain our trust, and how are we doing there, do you think, our Justice Department?
I think it's, I think politics is seeping into everything now. It's hard to trust the very organizations I used to work with and for sometimes. It's scary because truth is becoming relative, right? And I see it seeping into everything. The people need to rise up. I believe in democracy. I believe in a Republican form of government. If people rise up for truth and keep fighting like you are and others, I hope it can influence the entire governmental system to where we maintain the integrity of our institutions and our law enforcement.
What these people are running from and coming across our border is what we're becoming. They're running from no real justice because you can pay somebody off. Oh, I've got a jail cell with 8 women in it. The cops will come. Well, he's got more money than you have. So I'm going to now say you're the bad guy. I mean, that's why people came here, is you have a chance of justice. And if we pervert that justice, there won't be people clamoring. They're not coming for money. They are coming for a fair shake at life. And I feel like I'm glad you're around, Tim. Honestly, I'm glad you're around. You give me hope and faith that there are really good, decent people who are working every day to just do something that is right. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Glenn. You're the co-founder of both those organizations, so thank you.
Here's what I would like you to do. If you would like to get involved, again, there is nothing that will help you more than helping rescue children. Nothing. Divine providence doors will open. It will be truly a miracle in your life. Get out of yourself, get out of your own trouble. Stop concentrating on these things. Turn your face back to God and he will heal us. But we have to be actively engaged in good works. And this is the best work I can think of. If you would like to be involved, go to ourrescue.org, or thenazarenefund.org. Good to see you.
You too, Glenn. Thank you.